Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 373 of CryptoBiography, and I'm calling this one Canada Check. And so this one, so we finished up the story last week, which is great. I will, start writing for a new story in the coming week. I have a couple of themes that I want to write about, but I still haven't pinned down exactly what sort of story I want to tell, so I have a fair bit of work to do. But anyway, so I was AFK this week, and the reason was I was going up to visit my wife's family in Canada. And as I've discussed on the show before, we did a little scouting trip to eventually move to Canada, and we haven't, we're not doing that yet. In fact, it's been pushed off, so it's even longer than ever. There was a time when, her work, she wasn't, she needed to get some things right with her work, and if that didn't happen, then she might want to just go ahead and move. But it did happen, and she's quite happy in her work, and so it's been pushed off for years. So we don't know exactly when we're going to be moving up, but at some point we'll be moving up. So we visited her mom, and we visited one of her sister's family. She has several sisters, but one of her sisters out on Vancouver Island. And it was a lot of fun. We got to meet them and meet them again. Do some fun stuff. Have some nice meals and all that good stuff. It was very nice. And all the time I was visiting them, though, they're sort of in the back of my head. It's like, okay, I've got to start getting used to being here, because if I'm going to live here eventually, it would be interesting, at some point my brain is going to have to get used to the idea that I'm living there. And it's different enough that you do notice it. For example, we went to Costco, and then we couldn't pay for anything. It turns out and most of the time we're fine in Canada. Just, we have Visa cards, and they just kind of work everywhere, but they don't work at Costco. For whatever reason, Costco in Canada has not set up, they've decided not to set up for Visa. They've set up for MasterCard, and they've set up for some sort of internal Canadian payment thing that presumably you can get some other cards on if you're Canadian. Or the only Visa they would take is one that's actually a Costco Visa, and we don't have that. So we ended up having to borrow money from her sister in order to actually pay at Costco, which was fine. We just made it up for her by buying the next meal. It was not a big deal, but it was just kind of funny that we just weren't able to actually do it. Weren't actually able to pay for anything. Very weird. I've never needed to go to an ATM in Canada or anything like that, or like I said, anything. Everyone else seems to be on board, and I'm a Costco member, so it wasn't that was an issue. It wasn't like we were borrowing her sister's Costco card or anything like that. We were just going up there, and we were up there. We wanted a couple things, and her sister needed something, and we couldn't pay for any of it. Anyway, so it's funny because I'm there, but in the back of the head, it's like, okay, what would it be like to live here? And it's like, it will be an interesting experience, I tell you that. So it's hard to know. I guess without actually moving, I have some ideas of what it will be like, but until we actually pull the trigger, to use in a very much American turn of phrase, I won't know what it's really like. But it will be an adventure, and it will be interesting. Looking forward to it in a lot of ways, although it'll be weird too. I'm very much a product of the American, society, landscape, all that stuff. And as much as I've tried to, keep myself well-read and broad-minded, it's very hard to sort of escape that sort of lifelong hot tub that is, being in one culture all the time, and especially the American culture, because, other cultures get a lot of our movies and our TV shows and, some other things. And not all of them as pleasant as those. But we, you know, and it doesn't run the other way. Like, we don't get as much stuff from other countries. We call ourselves a melting pot, and yet, like, all of our culture gets exported, and hardly, only little trickles get imported. Anyway, it will be an interesting experience. But now it's multiple years off, probably a decade ish, something like that. But it's still, I'm looking ahead, and it's like, that's going to be a thing. And that's going to be interesting because, it's a little scary, but, it'll be worth it. I love my wife, and there's no need for us to live near my family. I have a small family, and they all live in one spot. They ended up all in Colorado, in a little town south of Denver. And yeah, there's like, that's pretty much all the family I have. After that, it's, I have to go out to the sort of aunt and uncle sort of level. My grandparents are, of course, have passed on. And yeah, so, and she has a bigger family, and they're pretty much all in the Vancouver area, so we're going to move to that area. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be weird. I can't wait to experience it in a way. But I'm also going to try to live in the moment here as well, and really, sort of enjoy because I don't want to be living like for the better part of a decade, just, with one eye on the door. That doesn't feel like the right way to live. It doesn't feel like a very comfortable way to live either. So I'm going to do my best not to think about it too much. But when I was up there in Canada, it was, very easy to think about, of course. Anyway, I will get going on my writing for next week. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or X or Mastodon. And yeah, words and music, copyright 2024, Brandon Starr, all rights reserved. Characters and events, though there weren't any in this episode really, are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.